Hello and welcome back to my channel. In this video, we shall continue from the previous one where we have this drawing plan of a two-room structure. We started by setting up the AutoCAD workspace and we looked at how to draw the units, how to set up the units, how to set up the limits, and also the layers and the zoom feature. Before we go on, I would like to encourage you to click subscribe and like this video and also share it so that others could have access to it and be educated. So we still have some features that will need to be set up in the drawing. We mentioned earlier that we'll need to set up the dimension style as well as the line weight. Now let's start with the line weight. The earlier on, the wall layer had been set to have a line weight of 0.3 mm. Now, from what we can see here, 0.3 mm is what is displayed. However, what we have here shows that it has not been activated. And so one way of activating the line weight is by coming down to this axis where we have the status bar. And so from what we can see here, this symbol here shows that the line weight is off. Once I click on it, you can see that there's a transformation on the screen indicating that the line weight has been switched on. Now, if you don't have it shown on your status bar, just switch to the customization button here, click on it. From all the options here, you go down to line weight and click on it. Once I click this off, as you can see, it has disappeared. But once I click it back, the feature appears on the status bar. But for now, let's leave it switched off. So let's continue with the drawing. In the course of this video, we are also going to look at how to use some of the drawing tools in the AutoCAD ribbon here. And we shall also look at how we can set up our dimension from the dim style feature. So now that we have the shape, remember in the last video, we were supposed to have two panels or two floors here. So let's start by drawing the walls and creating those two rooms. So I will go to the offset feature here. I'll click on it, and from the dialog feature that is showing on the screen, let's take our wall to be 225. Remember, we've set the units to millimeters, and remember, we are drawing the wall of the external wall of the building. And one thing we must also understand is that the offset feature is more like a parallel. So it gives the dimension If, for instance, I type in 225, as can be seen on the screen, I press enter. Now, the next command is for me to select the object I want to offset. So I will click and drag inwards. Remember, I had earlier typed out the dimensions of this structure, which we shall later set out when we work on the dimensions tile. And so I'll just click and press escape, and now we have our walls. Remember, this is a double panel, and so how do we get to demarcate this drawing so that we'll have two rooms? So we'll go back and we can do it two ways. The first one is by using the line feature. Now, from this point, I will not click on it, but I'll just drag a little bit. Then I'll type 3,500. Remember in the last video, that was the dimension that was set for the room. And I press enter. Now, what happens is that it will move down and count up to the length of 3,500 millimeters. And remember, I have this feature. My auto mode is activated, so the drawings should be in straight line. Now, there's another way of ensuring that you have a straight line. You can see that there are some features showing here that are green. We'll talk about it later. Now, all I just need to do, I don't need to click on this, but once I place it on top and then send it back, it will indicate the end point for my drawing. And once I've done that, I click enter. Now, I need to draw another line here to indicate that there is an internal wall here. And so, in order for me to do that, I can still go back to offset, click on it, and the offset distance, assuming the wall is 225, it's already indicated on the dialog feature there. I press enter. The next command is for me to specify the object to offset. So I'll click on this one that had been drawn and drag it to the right hand side and press enter. Now what it means is that I already have a building that has two equal dimensions for the rooms, but the work is incomplete, so I need to remove this feature here, remove the line here. Let's get close. Remove this line, remove this part here, so that we can have a neat wall. And so this will allow us to use another feature which is called trim. So trim will enable us to remove unwanted lines. So when I activate it by clicking on it, the instruction is to select objects that are meant to be trimmed. So click and then press enter. Now, all I need to do is to click on this. Oh, sorry. And click on this, press enter, and that has done justice to that. So we have the rooms with the drawing lines indicating where we have our walls. We shall continue in our next video where we shall look at how to apportion the dimensions and how to set up the dimension of our structure. Stay tuned.